All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. With the Kansas City Chiefs just wrapping up their second Super Bowl championship in the last 4 years, it has vaulted their quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, to another level as he is just the 13th starting quarterback to win multiple Super Bowl titles. But as Mahomes is currently considered by many to be the best quarterback going in the National Football League, you cannot understate his beginnings with the Chiefs and the importance of the organization around him. You go back to the 2017 NFL draft, and there, Kansas City would move up 17 spots in the first round to take Mahomes out of Texas Tech, 10th overall. And even as the fad in the NFL is to start a quarterback immediately, Kansas City elected to keep Mahomes on the bench as a rookie until the final game of that season. This gave Mahomes the opportunity to sit behind veteran quarterback Alex Smith until the Chiefs deemed it time to hand over the reins to him. And in doing so, Mahomes was able to get more seasoning from Chiefs head coach Andy Reid, as well as Alex Smith, as well as the other offensive coaches on that staff, but most notably Reid, who has a stellar reputation in regards to being a quarterback guru. And that goes back to his time as a head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, as well as an assistant under Mike Holmgren with the Green Bay Packers. Now, Mahomes, make no mistake about it, has blossomed to the top of his craft, and the sky is the limit for both him and the Chiefs. But Mahomes' success, in my opinion, should also be a lesson to many teams around the NFL when drafting a quarterback in the first round as to why it is so important to properly develop a player. We've seen so often with young quarterbacks fresh out of college that are thrown to the wolves right away too early on bad teams with not a ton of talent around them on the field, in the coach's booth, as well as the general manager's office. And the end result, more often than not, is typically a quarterback that fizzles out and is labeled as a bust. You think about Tom Brady, who just retired. He didn't start his first season with the New England Patriots back in 2000. He came in for Drew Bledsoe in 2001 in the second game of the season. And of course, Drew Bledsoe got Wally pipped, and the rest is history. The same can be said for the great Joe Montana, who helped the 49ers win 4 Super Bowl championships. In Montana's first 2 years in the league, he only started 8 games as the late, great Bill Walsh relied on Steve DeBerg. You think about Aaron Rodgers with the Green Bay Packers. He had 3 years to be the apprentice to Brett Favre before it became his time to shine. And of course, ever since then, A Rod has been legendary. All of these quarterbacks mentioned, made out pretty good for themselves. No mistake about it. There is the other side of the coin, however, where young quarterbacks are thrown to the wolves. And for me, one of the biggest highlights for that is the Houston Texans in their inaugural season back in 2002, starting rookie quarterback David Carr on an expansion team, and they ruined him from the word go, and he was never the same. Another issue is coaches, in some cases, being forced to start a rookie quarterback right away due to the current rookie contract scale. And then on top of that, I feel like some of these coaches in recent years have made the mistake where they don't bring in a quality veteran quarterback to show the youngster the ropes. You think about the New York Giants nearly 20 years ago. Back in 2004, they drafted Philip Rivers, of course. They made the draft day trade for Eli Manning. And of course, Eli Manning came in with the Manning name, his brother Peyton, and of course, his father Archie. But even with that said, the Giants still went out there and got Kurt Warner. And Kurt Warner did start the first 9 games of that season before then Giants head coach Tom Coughlin turned over the reins to the young Eli. And of course, the rest is history. Now, in the case of Mahomes, he has an established head coach in Andy Reid who was allowed to take a quarterback in round one, and not only take him in round one, he was afforded the opportunity to sit him due to the fact that, you know what, nobody was going to question Andy Reid's decision in Kansas City because of the cachet that he has with the Hunt family. And of course, his reputation for being a quarterback guru. However, that is not always the case with head coaches who some have to deal with impatient owners and general managers. Now, for every Patrick Mahomes, there are countless quarterbacks that are put in the wrong situation from the word go. You think about Alex Smith, who Patrick Mahomes replaced in Kansas City. Once upon a time, Alex Smith was the first overall pick of the NFL draft by the San Francisco 49ers. And of course, he toiled on some bad teams. A lot of people labeled Alex Smith a bust until Jim Harbaugh became the 49ers head coach in 2011. Alex Smith had a turnaround, a revitalization, if you will, to the second half of his career. First in San Francisco, helping them get to the NFC Championship game in 2011, and then, of course, with the Kansas City Chiefs. You think about recently, Trevor Lawrence, a couple of years ago, was the first overall pick by the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know it was just 1 year, but due to bad coaching by former Jags head coach Urban Meyer, there were some people that were thinking that Lawrence could be a bust. But you think back to the past season for Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence under head coach Doug Peterson and Andy Reid disciple. And now Trevor Lawrence is looking like a quarterback that could potentially lead Jacksonville to a championship one day. You think about Daniel Jones with the New York Giants, and of course, from so many different offensive coordinators, so many different head coaches. And of course, Daniel Jones was in that category as well until Brian Dayball came in this past season and righted the ship. The legendary Steve Young. And if you think about what Steve Young was about 30 years ago in the NFL, one of the best quarterbacks, got an MVP award in 92 for his troubles. But once upon a time, Steve Young had to be rescued from the clutches of an abysmal Tampa Bay Buccaneers franchise where he was looking like a bust until Bill Walsh and the 49ers rescued him. And of course, the rest is history. And there are so many other cases like this in the National Football League. You hear some teams talk about the importance of finding the right quarterback to lead their team. But many of these teams will waste a first round pick on a quarterback. And I say waste by not giving him the proper coaching, not putting the right players around him, not putting him in the right situation, period. General manager, head coach, and quarterback are the three most important positions on any NFL team. But many teams leave it to chance. Why, I do not know. But in hindsight, I do know, and that is because most teams are not dedicated to winning. Now, you look in the case of Mahomes, he has quickly ascended to being one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But how would things have been for Mahomes if he had been chosen by the Cleveland Browns, Chicago Bears, or New York Jets at the time? And the answer is we'll never know. Mahomes went to the right position with Andy Reid, where Andy Reid saw a young man in college that had a phenomenal throwing arm. And if you think back to watching Patrick Mahomes play at Texas Tech, he put up some stellar numbers on a week in and week out basis. But unfortunately, the team around him was not that good at all the times. And because of that, they struggled. Now you put him in a proper position to excel and improve and continue to develop his talents as a quarter young signal callers. You think about the Indianapolis Colts for years, they relied on Peyton Manning and they felt like they could do it again with Andrew Luck. And then unfortunately, it led to a very quick and sudden retirement for Andrew Luck because he could not deal with the injuries due to the team or lack thereof that was around him. You think about Matthew Stafford, who toiled for so many years with the Detroit Lions, traded to the Los Angeles Rams, and the rest is history as he is now a Super Bowl champion. So we're going to see it again in the upcoming NFL draft, just like we continue to see in recent years. Teams go out there, they take a quarterback early, but they don't put the right pieces around him. And then both them and the quarterback, several years down the road, are back to the drawing board while the quarterback is trying to find a new revitalization with another team. And that team that drafted him originally is starting over. But nonetheless, it is so important to put quality people around the quarterback. You put so much stock in that position, but one man cannot do it by himself. He needs the coaches, he needs the talent, and he needs the team. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now, you can check it out. Drop a line to be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.